Hi everyone, I'm Steven from X Kurogane Photography. In today's video, I will be discussing on the topic of budget photography, where I will attempt to use an entry-level or an old or a cheap camera to photograph toys, figurines in a tabletop diorama setup like the one on this table right here. Before we move on to the topic, I would like to update you guys on what I've been up to recently. Since mid-January, which was the last time I uploaded a video on GenDark, I went on a short holiday, which was during the Lunar New Year period, or better known as the Chinese New Year, which was around late January, and my family was celebrating the occasion. To follow up on the holidays after I came back, I tried to experiment new things and manufacture new parts on my 3D printer, rather huge parts, for the photography project of Ushi Wakamaru from Fate Grand Order. Unfortunately, things didn't really go as planned. My 3D printer gave me problems and I had to order replacement parts for the printer, which delayed my work. And to make things worse, as we are aware, there's a pandemic going on at the moment, so shipments from China are delayed. So many of my projects were either postponed or delayed as a result. I'm also having difficulties photographing Ushi Wakamaru with the props I've made due to the size of the setup itself. I was attempting to replicate the episode 8 of Fate Grand Order. In an unrelated incident, I happened to injure my foot and I had to go on a minor surgery, but my foot is all good now, so that's not really an issue. Getting back to the topic of budget photography, I'll be photographing this setup on this table here tonight because I would like a dark room where there is no environmental light of any kind. I would like to rely only on my own light sources, my lamps. But I'm filming the video ahead of time in the afternoon because I need decent lighting for videos. Now on the topic of budget itself, right? This is the camera that I'll be using tonight. This is the Nikon D3200, a classic DSLR camera, and this camera came out way back in year 2012, making this camera 8 years old today, almost 8 years old. This was an entry-level camera that retailed for 500 or 600 bucks with a kit lens bundled in, and I bought it pre-owned just a few months ago from a local camera store for only $125 US, body only. The shutter count was only around 4,000 shots, making it quite a bargain, so I picked up one of these, and I don't really care about the red color at all. And then for the lenses, I have 3 lenses that I allocate for my budget photography series of projects. So I'm going to go through them briefly. This is the first lens, and this is the typical kit lens that comes with most cameras when you buy one. This is the 18-55mm kit lens, but this is also the non-stabilized version, non-VR in Nikon's terms. So I don't really recommend people buying this one. Should you buy a kit lens, pre-owned or new, go for the stabilized one. So yeah, I won't be using this. This is the second lens I have in my lineup. This is also a kit lens, a premium kit lens, 18-140mm zoom lens with optical stabilization. So I mentioned that this is a premium kit lens because it isn't cheap if you buy it new. It costs about 300 bucks brand new, but since I bought it used, it cost me 150 bucks. And the reason I picked up this lens because I wanted to use the longer focal length range of 70-140mm for the occasional product photography work, or for simple portraits where I would like a more compressed background. Otherwise, you can buy 2 separate lenses, an 18-55 and a 55-250mm, something like that. But I do not want to carry too many lenses with me, so I bought a super zoom lens that contains a very large zoom range. This lens won't be used tonight. My choice of lens tonight is the one that is attached on this camera right here. This is the Yongnuo 50mm 1.8 prime lens, and it costs only $50 brand new. Yes, if you check out YouTube reviews on this lens, 9 out of 10 reviewers will tell you that this lens is absolute garbage, which, depending on the context, is actually true. If you are planning to photograph people portraits wide open at the aperture of f1.8, then this lens is what you would call borderline garbage, because the image quality wide open at f1.8 is not really good. The image it produces is very soft, and the autofocus is often rather inaccurate. In the end, this lens would end up as only a manual focus lens if you do not trust the autofocus. But even so, manual focus is very difficult with this lens because of a very short focus throw on the ring here, right here. A short focus throw means that it doesn't take much rotation of the focus ring right here to go from closest focus distance to infinity. So every bit of turn will result in a very large change in focus, making it very difficult to focus on close-up subjects like this one. So what's required is some patience perhaps, and you will need to check back your shots. After you photograph them, make sure you zoom in and check that they are in focus, especially when you have the time to do so when you are photographing on a tripod. When it comes to photographing figures though, you don't really need f1.8 aperture, because at that large of an aperture, on a small object like a figurine, almost nothing will be in focus because the depth of field is too little. For figurines like this, you'll be shooting at the maximum f2.8, ideally f4 to 5.6 sometimes. So that is where this lens can perform rather well at those apertures. So that is why I picked this lens for this specific photography project right here, because the results are actually going to be quite decent. Now I'm going to walk you guys through this setup right here, but I'm not going to discuss too much on the process of making this diorama, since that is not the focus of today's video. I'm going to focus a bit on the lighting aspects of this setup right here. So just let me turn on light for a second. Alright, so what I'm planning to do is that right here, Osakabe Hime seems to be cooking up something on a cauldron, similar to cartoons or animations of witches cooking up something in a basement. So that's the idea behind this setup right here. So with this setup, I'm planning to have a light source go in through the window, acting as the key light to brighten up the figure. And when I turn on this light itself, you could see that on the figure's face, one side is bright and the other side is quite dark. So the obvious solution is to add another light source on the other side, or to use a reflector. I've decided to use a reflector on this one. So this is a silver foil reflector, which is normally used on camera flashes. If I were to put a reflector right here around this area, I could bounce the light, a bit of the light this way onto the figure, so you could brighten up the face a little bit. See? Yeah. So my plan is to fire a light through the window and then have another reflector somewhere over here on the stand and bounce some light onto the figure. That covers the figure itself. And then there will be special effects, since she is cooking up something on the pot. So there will be lighting inside this pot right here. This is just cotton, and underneath it, there is glass paper and an LED. And then I would put cotton over it. So that is something glowing from the pot. This is how I would do it, but I kind of wish that these lights are brighter. I don't have a brighter battery powered LED lights at the moment. And then while you are cooking something, you will need to have fire underneath the pot. So I would light up the lights down here. See? Yeah, we have flames. This area right here, the flames are actually transparent. This is a transparent material. And then I have an LED underneath. And underneath the campfire. Right? So if I lift this thing is transparent. And then there is an LED light with an orange amber filter underneath it. So the light will go through and we will have a very nice fire. It is that simple. So yeah, and then we can have the pot on top of it. On the other side, we have a tiny table lamp, which is an actual LED light. And this completely sums up all the lighting in this setup. It is that simple. The purpose of this video on budget photography is to let you guys know that contrary to normal perceptions, cameras aren't very expensive to acquire should you show some interest in the hobby of photographing toys and scale models. Go and check out the pre-owned or used market, and you will realize that you do not have to pay a huge sum of money to get started. Of course, I'm not telling you guys to buy something that is 8 or 10 years old. It seems a bit extreme at this point, but if you go for something that is 3 or 4 years old, you'll be off to a great start. Go for a mirrorless camera or a DSLR. Both are completely fine. And skip over those compact digital cameras entirely, because these interchangeable lens cameras will give you a lot of creativity options should you save up more money for additional lenses in future. Until then, hopefully today's video would be helpful to you guys, and perhaps I might make more video on this topic in future. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.